I don't drive for Uber, and I would have done it for the Uber.
Yeah.
So
Depending on the day, I might have done it for free.
nah, I'll do it for the Uber rate.
Well, and also the time. It's the time of when we have to leave too. So
Which is
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't want to do it at 4 a.m.
yeah, it's 2:30.
Yeah.
fuck that.
That I would take the rate for.
Yeah. Welcome to our Film Fathers podcast, the definitive podcast about fatherhood, film, and fatherhood in film. This is Jelani, and with me as always are a guy trying to get us to accept a pretty incredible coincidence, and a writer for a regional lifestyle magazine, Martin and Brady.
It's always difficult to keep personal prejudice out of a thing like this. And wherever you run into it, prejudice always obscures the truth. I don't really know what the truth is. I don't suppose anybody will ever really know. 9 of us now seem to feel the defendant is innocent, but we're just gambling on probabilities. We may be wrong. We may be trying to let a guilty man go free. I don't know. Nobody really can. But we have a reasonable doubt, and that's something that's very valuable in our system. No jury can declare a man guilty unless it's sure.
Sometimes you try and do the right thing only to realize you got it all wrong. And when you figure things out, you realize the guy you're after isn't some psycho. He's not even really a criminal. He's just a regular guy.
This week, we've been summoned and are reporting for jury duty as we revisit the quintessential legal drama that many consider a perfect movie. Sidney Lumet's 12 Angry Men. From 1957 to this year, some things have changed, but not everything, as we saw similar themes in Clint Eastwood's latest movie, and potentially last, Juror Number 2. The newer film seemed to borrow heavily from the classic, but with a few modern twists and an ambiguous ending. What say you, jury? Which movie sequestered your attention better?
I was definitely into both of them.
Oh, there you go.
But I think one is definitely better than the other. I don't know what you guys thought.
Jelani, where were you at?
I liked them both. I thought there was some good points about Juror Number 2 that borrowed heavily from 12 Angry Men. Like, I made a note that 40 minutes into the movie, it felt like 12 Angry Men was about to break out. I think when you look at it, I don't want to be that like stereotypical. Oh, the original's always better.
It's not always, but
Yeah.
What do you think was better? There's not a wrong answer. It's like your opinion, man.
Yeah. I think Juror Number 2 is really good. It's really good.
Okay.
I was expecting it to be
you don't
even
think
better.
You don't want to be the stereotypical person who says the original is better, but you think the second one's really good. That's all you're really saying. Which one's good?
They're both good. I preferred 12 Angry Men.
I think that's probably the right answer.
Yeah. I think
It's a classic, and we've talked. I mean, I obviously historically have been very pro old movies, and
you're always pushing for the old
Absolutely.
ones. But I do
He's
know
the one
you
always
love this
asking
one,
us.
right?
you guys know that's not my thing. I think you just lose so much, and it's so easy to just. It's hard for me to get over some things as I watch these movies that I haven't seen before. However, this movie I have seen before, and have liked ever since. I think I would say it was 7th or 8th grade. I think when they showed it in school, and we watched it. I could be off base there, but I think I'm right. I think it was junior high, and I immediately loved it. And so I think we've talked about the never-ending nostalgia play. I think I have that with this, and I fell right back into this. I've seen it 5 or 6 times, and I think it's great. I get why they show it, or what at least they did show it in school, and in helping to kind of learn or showcase like different techniques and arguing and bantering and team dynamics and things, conflict resolution, things like that. I get it, and I 100%, as I was watching So we decided to fold juror number 2 in with this movie, having seen the trailer, brand new movie from Clint Eastwood, and I legitimately, Jelani, I think with you 40 minutes in, I was like, I didn't look much into this. Like, is he just remaking 12 Angry Men? Luckily, thankfully, he did not, but undeniably was there was an homage in there.
Lots of parallels.
Very heavy up to a point. And I think it was, he walked down the path of 12 Angry Men and then did his own thing. But man, it was legitimately, I didn't know, and I was like, holy shit, is this? I didn't realize that we were just potentially watching a remake.
Right.
I'm glad we didn't.
Like we recently did with Rear Window and Disturbia, not a straight remake and lots of newer things, or different additional things with this one as well. I think I heard that Juror number 2 was really great. So I that expectation, I think, is what did me in. If I probably just went into it blind and was not expecting like a blow, to be blown away, I probably would have loved it a lot more. So that's on me. But I think probably no matter what, I probably still would have said 12 Angry Men because it's really hard to top that. But I did enjoy Juror number 2. I mean, a lot of really good performances. Toni Collette's always great.
Like legitimately criminally underappreciated. Well, maybe not underappreciated.
Yeah, I don't think that's true. I think she got nominated for Oscars right from the get-go with like Sixth Sense.
Maybe just but I don't know that she's won any. I don't know. I feel like
and
there's something to her where I feel like she is maybe it's a choice on her end. I don't know. She's just not. She doesn't feel like, even for me, who I see her and I'm like, great, love that we got her.
Yeah.
Go back to the way back, right? Like she's awesome. Absolutely love her, and I would watch. If I see her in it, I'm thrilled. But I don't know that she always comes to mind if I'm thinking about it. There's somewhere in there where she's in this like middle purgatory-ish gray area where she's just not quite like at the top tier, and she's clearly not in the. I don't know. I don't know how to describe it.
There's speech that she does in Hereditary, which is an Ari Aster horror movie. That I was trying to get us to watch this past Halloween season, but we'll get to it next year.
I mean, it's not like Jelani and I stopped you.
Right? No, I know you didn't stop. You didn't stop us. We did a lot of horror movies this past year, but there's a speech that she does that just gets like everyone. It's one of the best like performances ever. So when you guys you'll know what I'm talking about when we get to it.
Here we go. Looking forward to the next October already, Jelani.
But like it's one of those things like where she's definitely and people recognize that that only she could probably have put that together. So anyway, the movie had a lot going for it. I think I just maybe was expecting some kind of big twist ending more than it was, or something like that. I don't know. Not that it was predictable. I really didn't know where it was going, kind of at any time.
It's so funny that you said that. So Mary, I asked Mary if she was doing a whole bunch of stuff, and she's been, crushing Christmas stuff left and right. I was like, hey, do you want to watch this movie? I think, I think you might like it. She's like, no, I don't have time. And, was in and out of the room, and all of a sudden was, hanging around for a couple more minutes, asking questions, and she's popping in, and she's like, okay, I think I already know what happens. And she, this is like 30 minutes in, and she rattles off her opinion, and I was like, ooh, close. I think this is what happens. And it was like, I had her beginning, and I veered a little bit, and she's like, oh, yeah, that's it. That's what's going to happen. So she fell in. We weren't right. I think it was, this is a type of movie, because of the way it's presented, where I think everyone has an opinion about what's going to happen. And I think you could probably be right I don't think it's like a huge stretch, but also like, I think we've talked about this. I'm almost like trying to get extreme with your guesses. You know, you try to like
You want to
because
try
you
to do
think
it as
that's
soon
where
as
the
possible.
movie's gonna go.
Yeah.
You think everything now is like, oh no, they're gonna go way farther. It's like, and I think this did a great job of threading that needle.
I think at one point we thought that there was going to be like a primal fear situation, and I
Yeah,
was
that
like,
Nicholas
ooh.
Holt was the true bad guy, right?
No, the other way around, right? Like that Nicholas Holt thought he did wrong,
Oh,
Yeah.
but in
I want to hear
reality-
this. I want to hear this. Yeah, tell me. Okay, we all had a theory. Jelani, what was your? Continue on, but tell us your theory. I want to hear Martin's too.
Yeah, so the theory was that Nicholas Holt thought he did wrong, and then in reality, it was always the boyfriend, and he was just playing it up and being remorseful and all that stuff, and then they would acquit him, and then he would get off and do whatever he did, and just
Right,
keep living his life evilly, right? So I thought that would be one way it was going to go. But it was interesting because, again, there's no clear, understanding of what happened, right? You see when they go and they check.
You're saying it's not definitive.
yeah,
It's-
like
yeah,
he-
there's-
you're not
there's no
sure
definitive answer.
that juror number 2 actually hit her with the car.
Right.
Like he doesn't know. Could have been
Right,
a deer.
and then all the elements in the case that were going in there, like when they went to talk to the eyewitness, again, it was like, it was dark, it was raining.
Well, that's
and,
the 12 Angry Men still vibe. That's the woman across the tracks, right?
right
Totally.
across the tracks. It's the same thing in My Cousin Vinny. They do the same one, right? He's like, you have all that crud on your windows.
What are all these little things on these trees and on these bushes? Leaves. It's okay. Shut them out when you know them.
Exactly. So, I mean, again, it just goes to show you like how difficult it can actually be when you have a case like this, right? Where if they don't present all the information, exactly the way that
that's-
it needs to be presented,
yeah,
like
that's the reasonable
it's hard to
doubt.
make a decision.
That's why I
reasonable
don't
doubt,
really
sure.
understand how any jury convicts, because there's always doubt. Like you can't know anything definitive. Now you can a little bit more with.
Well,
video.
hold on, Martin. There
But-
can be doubt. It just needs to be reasonable.
99% sure. That's why you were saying the reason I think they show this movie in schools is to teach our legal system.
You're talking about 12 Angry Men now?
Well, I'm talking about 12 Angry
Juror number
Angry
2?
Men, but
Already?
Yeah, I don't think juror number 2 is
think
getting
that's what
played
it
in the
shows.
6th grade classroom.
But I'm sorry, yes, 12 Angry Men. But it's the same thing in Juror number 2. Like I was surprised that everybody in Juror number two in a modern movie, that they were all like, ready to convict him as well, because clearly he didn't
you think
do
the
it.
exact opposite happens.
Yeah,
and
there's
everything.
tons of doubt.
Martin, what was did you have you have a theory of what was going down? What was to come?
The only thing I thought early on was that maybe at some point Nicholas Holt, am I saying his name right? Yeah, right.
No one knows.
was a little more nefarious than he let on. But he never really seemed to be. Maybe at the end you could say that he obviously convicted a man that he just to save his own ass. So that's pretty evil. But he also, I don't know. It doesn't. He didn't really take like a big evil turn that I thought maybe would be coming. I did like the ending. I thought the ambiguity of it was great. Like you don't really know how she's going to go about it, if she's going to go after him or not. But again, really well acted by Toni Collette. You just see her kind of considering it, and then at the end
Wrestling with it,
wrestling with the thought. What about you?
I
What was your
so Mary's and I, like I said, Mary ended up veering and agreeing with me. So Jelani, not similar vibes. I thought he clearly was struggling with the fact, obviously, that he wasn't sure if it could have been him that did it,
Right.
and my thought was that it would kind of go down that way, right? Like he was kind of wrestling with that whole thing, and we would come to find out that actually he was confident that he did it, they would, but that the boyfriend, sorry, I couldn't remember his name, the boyfriend actually was the killer, but in that, he was then going to, like, drink, because they were built, at that point, it was a half hour in, they were like, they were really introducing the whole, like, alcoholic thing, the drinking thing. I'm like, there's only one reason for this, and it's to tie in, it's for him to come back around and then he was actually going to do something stupid, i.e., like, kill somebody, or whatever the case may be, and essentially that would be his crime. Was where I was going with all of it. So I'm in hindsight, I'm glad they didn't do that, but that's the prediction of it all. And like, as we've all watched shows and movies where you inherently are looking for, like, oh, this is where they're going with this is what they're doing, and you're kind of plotting the path. But I was confident that the whole drinking aspect was going to come back, and it was going to fall back, and he was going to, fall off the wagon. Is that what it is? I actually never know. But
yeah,
he was going to be on or off the wagon of whatever one's bad.
It's got to be your wagon.
It's got to be your wagon for sure. But
like seeing JK again.
But nonetheless,
I felt there was a little bit of that flight, like, tension, right? Like, when you see him sitting there with the glass in front of him, he's constantly, like, playing with it, looking at it, swirling around. You're like, don't do it. And then
when they circled back and showed him, like, more there, I was like, oh, he did drink.
Yeah.
But he didn't.
But he did not.
A couple in the beginning, I was like, I made a note, and this is just my own amusement, but I was like, oh, as they were picking the jury, I'm like, I was pretty confident that Nicholas Hoult, Leslie Bibb, and J.K. Simmons were going to be on the jury. And our guy from Reno 911.
Cedric Yarborough.
Yeah.
I was like, I bet they make it. I bet they're picked.
Yeah, I liked seeing JK. He was a little short-lived there. But yeah, he should have probably known better than to go investigating it.
That was a cool arc, I thought.
It was a very good twist. I liked it.
Especially because I feel like if I'm looking at that cast, especially now, I'm like, oh, JK. Like, dude, I mean, he's legit. He's legit, actor. And I was like, okay, he's going to be a massive part of it. Dude, he's in there for like 15 minutes. Mm-hmm. It's not big. I like when movies use people like that as misdirects, and I thought they did a great job with him in that role. And I thought Yarborough was good too. I haven't seen him in a lot of stuff since Reno 911. I'm sure he's been doing things, but if I have, I don't really remember much of it. But I thought he actually was pretty good in his role. I thought it was interesting that he was kind of the bigot in its own way, but he had his reasoning, right? This approach was because he, the gang affiliation that was connected to his tattoos, and I liked that it was a little bit of a role reversal, but he filled that role.
He played like the Lee J. Cobb character, from 12 Angry Men.
I think that was well done, and I think they played it up. I mean, again, like you said, we see the homages to 12 Angry Men and Juror Number 2, and just having all of those little elements, like you said, with Cedric Yarborough's character and his background. Then you had the med student who was like looking at all the things. You had the doodler who was, drawing every picture and drawing pictures of the people in the crowd. And then you had, the woman who listens to true crime podcasts, and she's now giving her 2 cents.
That was a great addition too. I actually liked it. I thought that was a good alternate to come in, and a good, especially in the modern day, to like have a person like that would bring that approach, because there's almost no way you would avoid that anymore with how popular that genre has become. Like, you would almost certainly have someone on a jury who thinks they know exactly the best way to go about some of the stuff. And I mean,
everyone listens to Jillian's podcast, right?
Yeah,
right.
Shout out the Court Junkie pod. If you don't know, you should find out. I really, really liked the cast a lot. Like, took me a minute. I had to look it up. I'll be honest. The Holt's wife. I'm like, God, I know this chick. How do I know this chick? You guys are shaking your head, so I know you already know.
I had to look it up, but
okay.
I knew I liked her in Everybody Wants Some.
Everybody Wants Some, yeah. One of my favorite things we did last year or in 2024, and I couldn't place her, but man, she's great.
Did you guys recognize the boyfriend?
I felt like I did a little bit, but I didn't know what he was from. And I didn't look him up.
He's from a show called The Night Agent.
Oh, that's right.
Netflix.
I did watch that. Netflix.
Yeah. Yep.
Is that just a one and doneer?
Like, oh. What?
Was that a one and doneer?
It feels like it could have been.
I watched it.
I don't think.
And
there's not a lot to stretch out there.
Yeah, I don't think. But damn, I didn't place that. But you're 100%, and now I see it.
Yeah, I was like, oh, there's the Night Agent.
The Night Agent's back.
But yeah, like you said, Brady, I think it was a good cast. I think they did a good job. I think Nicholas Hoult did a really good job too. Being that dissenting voice, or just the questioning voice, like Henry Fonda was, right? In 12 Angry Men.
Nicholas Hoult, bluest eyes in the biz. In the garage.
Is that why they cast him as Beast?
In the garage, he might have had the bluest eyes ever on screen. You find me bluer eyes than what's happening in that garage. They were clearly the bluer than in every other part of that movie. It was mildly distracting. It felt like intentional. But sorry to fear. That was one of my notes. I was like, how blue could his eyes possibly be? I got blue eyes. They pop sometimes. They don't pop like that. That's all I'm saying.
You gotta get him underneath Clint's eye, right? Eastwood knows how to make them pop.
I got a
question. How do you feel about Eastwood?
How do I feel about Eastwood?
Eastwood movies, I should say.
Yeah.
We don't have to talk about it.
In general, I think I like his movies he's directed.
Yeah. I think he's probably one of our best.
I definitely haven't seen a bunch. He's notorious for one shot, right? He's a one and he's to pull this again. He's like a one and done.
Take?
He does one take and he moves on. I think that's what I've heard historically.
Yeah.
I believe that's kind of his MO.
He seems capable, like a very capable filmmaker. Let's put it that way. Like whatever he's doing seems to work. Because he's got a lot of them that, again, I haven't seen them all, but $1 Million Baby and
American Sniper.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so, and a lot of those, they get attention, and this was a good movie. It was well made, well put together. There was nothing, I think, no choices that he made that I was like, why would you do it that way? So
he made a choice to put his daughter in the movie.
Oh yeah, who was that?
She's the victim, the girlfriend.
Ah, okay, didn't know that.
Yeah, nor did I. Didn't know. I knew he had one child who was in the biz.
I think he's got 3 of them in the business.
Was that right?
There's
Yeah,
Allison, Scott, and then this one, right?
Apparently, yeah.
I think they don't fall far from the tree.
I mean, you're surrounded by it. I did see a note that our boy Kiefer got his part because he wrote Eastwood, telling him how much of a fan he was and how he wanted to be in one of his movies before he retired. And so I alluded to in the beginning, but rumors are, I think, Eastwood either said or has been alluded to that this is going to be the last movie he does. And he's got to be like, what, 105, 110? He's been around.
Him and Dick Van Dyke.
He's been around. Yeah, Dick Van Dyke. Getting all the press.
Still kicking. Just celebrated his 99th birthday.
So, cool to see. Kiefer, nice small,
again. He's 94.
Man.
That's wild.
Small role for Kiefer, but, he it really felt like a good fit, too. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if Jack Bauer tells you to give him $1 and then don't say shit, don't say shit.
I feel like I'm one of the few who never watched that show.
Where was that? Where have we seen the whole "give me $1 now I employ you" thing before?
Ooh, any law?
Like I was going to say every lawyer.
Is it in everything, or I'm thinking of one thing in particular? I think, but I don't know.
I think it was in The Firm, potentially. Yeah. I don't know. I could be pulling here. Yeah. But All right, we should probably talk about the movie we said was better instead of the never-ending talk of 12. So, dude, 12 Angry Men, legit. 57?
57.
It's still, it's great. But I don't know if I have nostalgia. It's great. Not perfect, but great.
So I remember watching this, and then it was one of my Tuesday Best Buy buys. For some reason, like probably maybe my freshman year in college or shortly thereafter, like just went out and purchased this film from Best Buy, DVD, have it, in the bin. And it was like, why would I pick this? And then I started watching it again. I'm like, oh, I know why I picked it, because it's just a solid movie.
Yeah, it's not one to watch over and over again, but like to cycle back through every once in a while, great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean,
and you said, it plays well as like an examination of how to like defend your argument and how to like showcase, okay, here's one side of the story, but did you consider this part? I feel like this would be a good like stage play.
That's a great. So real quick. So as I was watching it, that I kept having that thought. I was like, I feel like I'm watching a play. Oh, like it.
Yeah.
Though, and granted, at that point, it probably is somewhat closer to that in general. But I feel like it is 100%. Like if that's on Broadway right now, I think it's.
It has been adapted, right? Yeah, as a stage play. Yeah.
Well.
Or was it originally a stage play? That's my question. Like,
I don't think so.
A Few Good Men was originally a stage play, right?
But I don't think it is.
I don't know that's true, but I'm pretty sure it was and I've heard that 12 Angry Men. I know that it has been on like Broadway as a stage play since. Okay. But I'm pretty sure it was a movie first.
Okay. But either way, like it just works, right? It just works. There's no, not a lot of special effects or anything like that. It's just people acting.
According to the wiki, 12 Angry Men is a play adapted from a 1954 teleplay of the same title. So, does that mean a TV show? Or what's a teleplay?
I think so. Yeah, in 54 it was started out. It said for CBS or something like that. That it was first, and then they.
But it 100%. Obviously, the set is one room. I mean, for 99% of the movie, which that alone presents the possibility for that. But man,
and a lot of long. I don't know how many takes it took, and maybe not like Clint, but like a lot of long takes where they went from one guy having to do like a whole speech to the other guy, and it's like they're not even going to do a cut here. I think there was one point where I noticed like Henry Fonda said something twice, like kind of didn't really stumble, but I don't know. You might not want him to have said it that way, but I think they just let it go. They're like, he's too far into it. Just keep that take. It just maybe made it seem more real.
Yeah, that's interesting. I don't know if I caught that, but that's a fun. I mean, I could get it, especially at that point, right? Like maybe not as honed in on if that was a huge deal. It's like, yeah, whatever. Like you said, overall, this is a good take. So let's keep it and move on. I had my note, and what I remember is like this movie made me interested in like mock trial and law and like the courtroom, all of it. And I did like mock trials and stuff in high school, and I this definitely was a huge catalyst for that.
Did you do mock trial, Martin?
No, never.
Oh, see, I did. Ours was youth and government, and I remember we had a case, and one of the like big factors in the case was that the murder weapon was a bat, and it was never found. And I remember like we were the defense, and the prosecution was another school, and they came in, and we had the whole mock trial set up, and they presented the bat as evidence. And I just looked at my partner. He goes, "Go for it." I go, "Objection, Honor. The bat was never found." And they're like, "Yeah, sustained." And then the guys just looked over, and you could see their whole case just.
Yeah, this is their whole thing. Like, we've recovered the bat. No, you didn't.
You didn't.
Stated on the paper.
Right. It's clearly said they didn't find it.
Come on, nah.
So
Trying
that
to pull a fast one on Jelani.
yeah, you can't pull that on me. But that led to like going down. We did a thing down in state, went downstate, and then had like an appeal because you had to defend like the appeal and stuff like that. So they're like, whatever happened in your mock trial, it's fine. But you were found guilty, so now you got to go down to the state court and appellate court and appeal. And so we did that and stuff. And I remember because we stayed in a holodome down in Springfield, Illinois. Which, have you ever been in one of those?
No.
So
I don't even know what it is.
It's basically they take a motel and they put a roof over it. So like all the rooms exit out into like this courtyard where there's like a pool and stuff, but it has now been covered with a roof. And so it's so hot and muggy in there.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I didn't know that's what it was called, but yes, I've been in a building like that.
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about.
So that was a weekend of fun.
Have either of you ever served jury on a jury?
No, I kind of always wanted to, but I've never.
You've never been summoned? Mm-mm. Wait, Jelani, you either? Dude, this is so crazy. So, when after I lived here for a while, I finally got my license. My Iowa license finally expired, so I got an Illinois license. I got a summons like 3 weeks later. I was like, top of the pile, buddy.
Yeah, it must have been.
I can't believe you. I've actually gotten 2. I got another one. So I got my first time though. I got summoned downtown Chicago and went down, and I was like, I had been summoned in Iowa, but I was in college, so I always just played that card and just got out of it. In fact, I actually got summoned in Iowa like, I don't know, 6 years ago. I was like there, and while I was at my parents' house, the mail came, and it was a summons for me in Iowa, and I was like, well, I'm gonna get out of this one, but I went down to downtown Chicago and served, and like when you get there, you have to watch a video. They showed it in there. You have to watch this like generic video. In Chicago, the video is from like the 70s or 80s, and it's Lester Holt from when he was a Chicago anchor.
You remember?
You remember? I didn't know that shit. I was just like, Lester Holt.
Yeah. I said we, as in me and Jelani.
Yeah,
but I went on and I got picked, and I was on the jury, and it was like a woman was suing the bus. Why can't I think of the name of the bus?
Metro.
It is Metro, right? That's what I wanted to say, and I was like, "Is it Metro?" So she was suing them because they like braked hard and she fell and got hurt, and they had video of it because there's cameras in the buses, and she legitimately was just like standing in the middle, like not holding anything, and they and literally every single I kid you not, and it's not like I hearkened back to this movie, but I'm not shitting you when I say that I was the lone, like, I was Henry Fonda, because everyone in the room was like,
you came up in your white suit and you were like, I'm just.
Everyone in the room was like, right out of the gate was like, yeah, like guilty. Let's just pay her and move on and get out of here. Call it a day. That was all anyone cared. It was crazy. I was like blown away. For my first one, I was like kind of like mildly excited, right? And legitimately, everyone just was like, "Yeah, let's just like let's just pay her and go home. We get we're out of here." And I was like, "Hold on, like we can't like you guys saw the video. Like this is not all Metra's fault." And so we
like she wasn't holding on, is what your argument
was?
Well,
she was, and then she stopped, and they braked, and she fell. I was like, I've been on a bus. You can't just. You can't just be standing in the middle of the aisle and think that like all this is going to work out. And so I legitimately, no kidding, I ended up essentially convincing. We still found Metra responsible, but and it was like weird. This woman like went to, she refused to go to the doctor, but she went to like a spiritual healer on like, it was just a lot of bullshit. And I'm like, fuck all this. I was like, so I had a problem with it, and I aired my grievances, and we the masses, we agreed to. We took pretty much the whole day, but we agreed to pay, but on a much lower scale. And then afterwards, and also the lawyer was like trash. Like they did a bad job. The people.
You earned your $3 that day.
And the guy, the foreman, afterwards was like we were leaving. He's like, "Hey, I what do you do for a living?" He's like, he started asking me. He's like, you made a good case, and I was like, I just feel like it. I didn't subscribe to the theory that we should just walk in and just try to get out of there as fast as possible. Like I don't know. I felt like for my first jury, I had an obligation to serve the people.
Yeah.
Anyway, I was
nice. That's that's crazy. I didn't think you had. I didn't know you had that story.
Yeah.
I mean, that's quite
legitimate.
The parallel.
I didn't. In no way was I sitting in there being like, this is my Henry Fonda moment. But like, I think internally, I just took it seriously, and clearly, the majority of people that were there did not care at all that they were like part of a jury. They just wanted to essentially have a day off from work and go home as fast as possible. And I don't know. I felt like it was. I felt obligated to.
It was your civic duty.
Uphold my duty.
But yeah, I would love to get on a murder trial. I don't think it would happen though, but.
They're
I don't know if I want to go that
sir,
far,
you're too eager.
Right.
Yeah, right. I'd be like, I would love to do this.
Yeah, I feel like it's a fine line, right? Like, I don't know. Mine was in one day, and we actually went a little long for one day, but legitimately, I don't know that's got to be real weird to be like multiple days.
Right, if you're doing it for weeks.
Yeah. That's got to be a real.
Being sequestered and not being able to see any news information or like have any contact with the outside world. Yeah, no, thank you.
But I get what you're saying, Martin. I would be interested to kind of like analyze, and I think we have similar. All of us have similar like inquisitive minds, and you're curious about everything, and like again, we like these movies and stuff for the same reason.
Yeah. I guess I shouldn't say like it doesn't have to be murder trial. Just like an actual. Big case with lots of.
I want to matter.
Lots of ins and outs and what have you. Yeah. Right. Well, this is a complicated case.
Martin's over here trying to runaway jury it, trying to play
totally.
The Cusack role.
Yeah.
Control the jury.
Yeah, that was the last Grisham I read.
Yeah, it's very interesting, but. And I think what's the good snapshot from 12 Angry Men and Juror number 2 as well, and in any other movie, is you do just have a wide array of people, and obviously with the selection process, you have them specifically trying to put people in. It's like, but you have a diverse in multiple ways group of people, and yeah, you aren't all like-minded. You're gonna inherently have disagreements, and it does come down to, well, at least what I've seen, it does come down to like feeling like you're supposed to be doing what you're doing, and or not caring at all, and just looking to get the hell out of there. Like, could determine massive payments, massive jail time depending on the case, and that, and yeah, I still feel like I have it in me. I would still care. I still care. I want to do my part.
Yeah, that's why. I mean, again, both of these movies come down to like talk about the reasonable doubt situation. Like I remember that's what we talked about podcasts, the true crime podcast, the Serial podcast. The first season was like the big one that got
the
a lot
OG,
of people hooked. Yeah. And the biggest takeaway
what was that
from
kid's
that,
name? You remember?
Adnan Syed, I want to say.
Adnan,
yeah.
That's right.
I mean, my biggest takeaway from that was that there was definite doubt. If you can make an 8-part podcast or however many 10 episode podcast on one case where you're showing lots of doubt, that there's no way he should have been convicted. Like, people still think, whether he did it or not, like, you don't know, but they didn't prove the case that he did beyond a reasonable doubt, because everyone has doubt on it. So yeah, it's a flawed system, but that's where the burden of proof is, and I think that's what these movies make you realize, like, you can't just be like, oh, I think he did it. Like, that's not good enough.
Yeah, you can't have a problem with, your son. You can't have a problem with the ethnicity. You can't have a problem with,
That was a great
wanting
scene.
to be somewhere else. Like, yeah, you can't. The quote you read to start.
Yeah.
Like, the prejudice is what you can't walk in with. Like, you really do need to be open-minded about whatever is going to happen. Now, that being said, that's just not fundamentally not the way the world works, and so you don't have that approach, which is both disheartening and a huge hurdle to come with. Like, I kind of agree with you. Like, I in one respect, I don't know how anyone finds anyone guilty, because there's reasonable doubt easily. That being said, my experience, and this is a couple years old now, but like, most people didn't give a fuck about right, wrong, guilty, not guilty. They just wanted to leave. Yeah. Like, what was the fastest way to get out of there?
Yeah, I got tickets to the ball game.
Yeah.
Jack Warden, the dad from Dirty Work, right?
Well, he wasn't the tickets to the ball game, but...
Yeah, he was.
He was. Jack Warden was.
Oh, wait, that was him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Pops?
Is he? Pops, yeah.
Yeah,
Pops from Dirty Work. That's all I kept thinking about. It kept making me laugh.
Pops,
we didn't even have fancy birth control methods, like pulling out. That's the line. I'm watching this serious movie, and all I kept thinking about was Pops talking about pulling out.
That's so funny. Yeah. And I don't really know. Do you know Henry Fonda? Martin, you'd be more likely than me.
Sure.
Obviously. Like, I know who it is, but I don't know.
Grapes of Wrath.
Yeah,
is the big one. And then obviously Dad to Peter and Jane. But
sure.
I'm trying to think of
Grandpa to Bridget.
Yeah, is there other ones that I'm only thinking of Grapes of Wrath, but
yeah, he's obviously was a known actor at the time, or sorry, not at the time, but over the years. And
yeah, he did do On Golden Pond, which I've never seen, but that was in '81, so he was pretty old already. Yeah. And I've never seen it, but
just curious because obviously he was the star and
his known fours. There's only we named 3 of them already. There's only one other, and I don't even know what this is. 1956, The Wrong Man. But Grapes of Wrath, On Golden Pond, and 12 Angry Men are 4 known fours. It's a Hitchcock.
Did you ever read Grapes of Wrath?
Wrong Man's a Hitchcock movie. How have I not seen this? I should watch this. Have I read Grapes of Wrath? I think I started. I don't think I ever finished it. I really love East of Eden by Steinbeck. Not that he's in it. Not that that's anywhere. But I don't think I ever finished Grapes of Wrath.
I had to read it in English class, like over winter break, and I remember that winter break I had swim practice. We had 2-a-days, and my entire winter break was just getting up, going to swim practice, coming home, reading Grapes of Wrath, taking a nap, going back to swim practice. And I did that for 2 weeks. It was just like, what?
Yeah, it's pretty long.
It's a thick book. Mon Pa Jode.
That's right. Tom Jode.
Did you? I saw when I was looking this up that this is from '08, but that AFI listed the 10 greatest films in the genre courtroom drama. This was number 2.
Ooh, what's number 1?
That was my question for you. Do you know?
A Few Good Men.
Hold on.
Oh
no, but that's got to be top 10.
I think A Few Good Men. I would put A Few Good Men.
I did not look up
Inherit the Wind. Oh no, Kill
It is To Kill a Mockingbird is number 1.
Yeah, Atticus Finch, baby.
Yeah. So, all right, good job. You guys rallied well there. Yeah, I did not go.
Do you have the other 5 or 5 of the top 10? Because I was gonna say, Inherit the Wind is like the Scopes Monkey Trial.
Oh, I don't know that movie at all.
Like the people versus Charles Darwin in Evolution.
I do have the top 10, but what? Whatever you just made up was not one of the top 10.
How about And Justice for All with
no
Al Pacino? No, okay.
No.
True.
Witness for the prosecution?
You want to go? You want to start from 10? We've already got this. We got the top 2. I'll start from the 10. Number 10 is Judgment at Nuremberg. My hunch was you weren't going to get. You have seen it.
Yeah.
Okay. You can guess what that's about.
The Kane Mutiny?
Number 9. It doesn't give me the year, otherwise I would have dropped it to you. A Cry in the Dark.
I don't know. I'm somewhat familiar. What's the one with
Don't know that one.
With what's her name? Jodie
Looks like-
Foster.
Yeah?
The accused?
Yeah. Was the accused in there?
No.
Cry
Oh,
in the
sorry.
Dark
Sorry. I
is
thought you were
Meryl
talking about
Streep.
A Cry in the Dark. I was like,
No, I
what?
was just guessing another movie.
No. And then we have number 8. We have In Cold Blood.
You know what A Cry in the Dark is?
Number 9.
I know what A Cry in the Dark is. The dingo ate your baby.
That dingo. It is. Lindy
It is.
notices a dingo creeping into
Yeah.
the tent while her baby lies
So
sleeping.
that's the scene in Seinfeld when Elaine is saying that she's doing a Meryl Streep impersonation.
I was going
I've
to say,
seen
it's
part of
Meryl
it.
Streep. I can
Yeah.
tell by the picture. Number 8's In Cold Blood, old school.
Yeah. Seen that.
Truman Capote.
Number 7, Anatomy of a Murder.
I was going to say it if you gave me Otto Preminger
What?
with James Stewart, directed
yes.
by Otto Preminger.
You're right.
That was good.
Yeah, you told me
you
that
did that
last time I
before.
did it. I
Yeah,
think I
yeah,
got a
yeah.
decent Jimmy Stewart. Number 6, Witness for the Prosecution.
Yeah, I've seen that too. That is
There's so much black and white.
yeah.
Number 5, you said it earlier. A Few Good Men.
Yeah.
Number 4, Frank Galvin, an alcoholic lawyer, tries to redeem his reputation by taking on a difficult medical malpractice case
True
in
Believer.
This is Paul Newman, right?
Yes, it is. The
Oh.
Verdict.
The Verdict, yes.
The Verdict,
The
yeah.
Verdict.
And number 3, we already know 1 and 2. Number 3, returning home late from work one night, a career-obsessed Ted is told by his wife Joanna that she is leaving him. In
Kramer versus Kramer.
Kramer versus Kramer. It was said Ted Kramer. I left that out because I tried to be.
Won the 1979 Oscar for Best Picture.
Is that Meryl Streep as
I don't know
well?
why I know that. Yeah. Right?
Yeah, it looks like it.
Who's Dustin
Dustin
Hoffman?
Hoffman, yeah.
Yep. So those are your top 10 on the courtrooms.
Amistad didn't make the list.
Neither did The Firm or The Pelican Brief or
the
Well,
Rainmaker.
Firm's
the
not really in the
Rainmaker.
courtroom.
I guess
And I
you're
put
right.
my cousin.
A
I
Time
put
to
my
Kill.
cousin
Time to
Vinny
Kill.
up there.
My cousin.
I put a
Vinny.
Time to Kill over any of these black and whites.
It's awesome.
I'm going out on a limb and saying A Time to Kill is better than Judgment at Nuremberg. Yes, she deserved to die. I hope she burns in hell.
It's actually they, but that's
I
all right.
know. I realized it after I said it. I was down the path. I couldn't. I was so fired
You
up.
were.
Samuel L. Get it.
As always, we don't believe we have to be loyal to one side or the other. We're simply asking questions. Like, have you subscribed to the pod yet? Thanks, and save it for the pod.